What's up, guys? In Your Head with Shannon Stanford is a podcast where Shannon talks to everyday people with everyday problems. Everyone has a story, and every story should be told. So you listen right now to Shannon's podcast on Spotify and many other places, y'all. Come on, man, be the light. Peace. In the quiet of the night where dreams take flight, voices whisper softly, shining like the stars so bright. Every heart has a story, don't you ever forget. Let's open our minds, share the journey, no regret. Here we gather, a circle of hope, sharing laughter and tears, we learn just how to cope. Every tale we tell, it helps to heal our souls. In the space of understanding, together we become whole. So let the words flow, let the music rise. In your head with Shannon, the stories come alive. Every heartbeat echoes where our spirits thrive. From fears to triumphs, we'll paint the skies anew. In this podcast journey, I'm here with you.
Welcome to In Your Head with Shannon Stanford, the show where we dive into life's biggest questions and completely unnecessary ones, like if ghosts are real, do they get tired of walking through the same wall every day? I'm Shannon Stanford, your host, your guide, and the only person you know who can burn microwave popcorn and still eat it proudly. I'm glad you're here. Honestly, there are thousands of podcasts out there, some of them true crime with spooky music, some of them celebrities pretending they're just like us, and some that are just two guys talking about how much they love sandwiches. But you chose mine. Either that means you have incredible taste, or your thumb slipped. Either way, I'm grateful. Before we go any further, I'd like to get serious for a moment. Today's conversation covers suicide. There is a talk of murder and prison, drug abuse, drug-related topics. These are heavy subjects, and they're very difficult. And I want you to take care of yourself while you listen. Pause if you need to, step away if it gets too heavy. Go watch a cat trying to jump on a counter and missing. I don't care what you do, just put yourself first. Your mental health is far more important than this podcast, and I say that as someone who does really want you to keep listening. Okay, deep breath. Now let's shift gears. This is a monumental moment for me because this is the first in-person guest since before COVID, which means I've been running around my place like I was hosting the Queen, except the Queen doesn't usually text, hey, I'm almost there. Well, I'm still trying to hide laundry in the oven. I even put on jeans. Jeans. The kind with a zipper. And honestly, I forgot how aggressive denim can feel. When RJ got here, we did the classic small talk. How's the weather? Did you find the place okay? Do you also believe that raccoons are just tiny burglars in fur coats? You know, the usual. We debated which gas stations have the best fountain drinks. We bonded over how ridiculous traffic has gotten. And I think we may have solved 3 world problems before we even sat down. But here's the thing, and yes, I promise I'm finally getting to the point. Today's guest isn't just any guest. This is Richard Asbury Jr., RJ. His life story has more twists than a bag of curly fries. We're talking survival, loss, resilience, moments that will make you laugh in spite of yourself. He's been through things that would crush a normal person. But he's here, he's alive, he's unfiltered, he's ready to share it all. It's raw, it's real, and it's one of those conversations that will stick with you. So buckle up, maybe grab a snack, bonus points if it's shaped like a dinosaur, and let's get to the conversation with RJ. Ladies and gentlemen, with me today is my guest RJ. RJ, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good.
Now, RJ and I work together at my shoot job, which, in you don't know wrestling term, that's real job.
Yeah.
And so he listens and watches the show. So we talk every day that we fucking work, or sometimes days that we don't work together. And we talked about him coming on, and he was a little hesitant, you know. So, but you know, time worked out, you know, to where he could come over, and this is the first in-person interview that I've done in probably 3 or 4 years. So
I
everything.
haven't seen the one you did in person.
Yeah, well, a lot of the in-person ones were like straight audio, so it was like before we started doing the YouTube.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but anyway, so RJ, as somebody that has watched and listened to the show, so you know the first question, how was your childhood?
Wasn't great. It wasn't like I remember there was. We talked about this beforehand, but like I have repression where I don't remember much, and it just comes back to me slowly. So, some of the stories are even just like stuff that I've been told, not necessarily stuff that I remember. But start off, my father, which we'll just go with that for now. Father. Him and my mom married when they were. It was right before. It was right after she got pregnant, or was later in her pregnancy with my brother Kenny, actually. And so he always just seen him as dad, and um, he was a great dad when he wasn't cooking meth. I remember some little bits and pieces of just him when he was there, just cuddling and being present. But my mom, how she put it is, he would say he'd go out for a pack of cigarettes and be back in about 2 weeks.
Oh.
So
Man, he must have really wanted those good cigarettes.
I'm guessing so, man. And then there was just a lot of toxicity. My mom was on drugs at the same time too. I mean, dating the meth cook. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So, he ended up picking my oldest brother up. I've got 3 brothers and a sister by my mom, numerous siblings by my father, and then he ended up putting my oldest brother Wade up against a fridge by the throat. The story as to why he did it is varying, but he and that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. So she ended up breaking up with him and divorcing him, and then met my stepfather, who was great at first. Like, I mean, I was proud to call him my dad. And I mean, to the point where my 2 older brothers did also get adopted by him, to where they changed his last name, their last name to his last name and everything. And yeah, he was great. I don't remember a whole lot of arguing. I don't remember a whole lot of fighting. Don't remember a whole lot of anything besides just fun. And I was born in Berryville, Arkansas. That's where majority of the stuff took place, which is northwest over by Eureka Springs, if you've ever been there. And then, but he was from Chillicothe. So you know where that's at, Chillicothe, Missouri. It's like
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Minutes from here.
Yeah. So I was going into 3rd grade, so I was about 8. And we moved up here to be closer to his oldest estranged daughter. That's what he told us. I don't know. And then we moved to Chillicothe for a little bit, and then moved to where I spent a majority of my time was Salisbury, Missouri, which podunk small town, just like Maysville, except we actually had a bigger grocery store and 2 gas stations, I think.
Ooh, yeah. You know you're a rising town when you get that second gas station.
They eventually, whenever I think it was my senior year, we won state championship in basketball and got funding to build a dome for their high school. So they really stepped up after I moved away.
After you moved away.
Yeah, no, I was graduated by then. Graduated. We'll get to that. And that's when it really started picking up. He ended up losing my stepdad. His name is, we'll just keep it a stepdad for privacy reasons. And he lost his mother, and he started drinking heavy. And when he was sober, he was great. Get us off to school. We'd watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Charmed first thing in the morning, before we got on the bus. And then usually by the time we got done with homework, it was just pandemonium. You never knew what it was going to be. I remember one time that my brother, gosh, he couldn't have been any older than 10 or 11. Or no, he'd have been about 12. My oldest brother, are you aware of like the roles of dysfunctional households?
Yeah.
The scapegoat, he was the scapegoat. Because my stepdad ended up taking a lot of his frustration out on me, and he would become the protector and the scapegoat at once. Because the only thing that makes sense to me is I didn't take his last name. I wanted to keep it for my grandfather, who was very inspirational in my life. And I didn't take his name. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Or I'm brown, one of the two.
For context here, RJ here, he may not look it, but he is of
Hispanic origin.
There you go.
Yes.
Go with dipshit origin, but
I actually got my ancestry back, and it's like a Heinz 57, so I can be anything if you want me to be.
He's vanilla Mexican.
Yeah, my wife is way more Mexican than I am.
And she is white.
Like,
we love your wife.
Yes,
we do.
She's the love of my life, but she is like skin reflects the sunlight. White. See-through white.
Before we go any further, if I never see RJ again, it's because his wife watched or heard this episode. And because RJ knows, I don't edit hardly anything.
Yeah, so I'm most definitely telling her. I already texted her and told her I was coming over here, so she's aware.
Okay.
So anyway, Joe, my stepdad, he was when he would get to drinking, like I was saying my brother was 12, maybe really young, maybe 13, and he put him against the fridge by the throat. And because he stood up for me and my younger siblings, and he basically picked him up by the throat and said, "You want to act like a man? I'll show you what a man's like." Put him up against the refrigerator, hit him, and I feel, and probably still why me and my oldest brother are very estranged. We get along, but shared trauma will either bring you closer together or it'll pull you further away. So yeah, that's just one of many different things. There was one time where he got onto me for something. I can't remember what, but I remember storming upstairs. I was 11, maybe 12. I stormed upstairs because I was mad. I was constantly grounded, wasn't allowed to do anything because of my grades or whatever reason he felt at the time. But he said my grades, which kind of hard to do your homework when you've got that kind of a household.
Yeah.
At least was for me. And then he came upstairs, got up in my face, yelling at me for whatever. And I guess it continued downstairs to the point where he put Wade in a headlock and was like turning him black and purple and, like losing consciousness. And my mom, my younger sister at the time sister, and my other brother was hitting him with golf clubs and whatever they could get their hands on to get him off. Yeah. And he didn't have any recollection in the morning. He woke up and he's like, "Oh, my shoulder, my back, why does it hurt?" My mom goes, "Are you fucking stupid? You don't remember anything." And he said, "Why should I?" And that's just the kind of person he is. So, and I've got more craziness. But that was like my formative years. That was the big things that led to, low self-esteem, low self-worth. Just thought I was, nothing, when I was constantly ridiculed, called an idiot, stupid, whatever you can think of, just belittled to the point of I was just a beaten, broken down puppy. And and then, school, when you move, kids aren't very nice to the new kids, so that didn't help the matter either. It really changed once I started playing football and getting into sports. But that point, I'd kind of made my friend group, the outcasts, the weirdos.
Oh yeah,
they were my people,
the good people.
Yeah, for real. I used to always say, a good friend of mine, still to this day, his name is James, and I would tell him, I'd be like, "Hey man, just so you know, if you ever come to school and want to shoot it up, just give me a heads up. That's all I ask. Just tell me, don't come to school or whatever." He was soft as a kitten, just the most sweetest. I don't know if like he just didn't completely grasp everything or what, but he's such a sweet dude, such a good guy. Just loved his video games and anime, just like myself. And that those were my people. And he was he's still a very good friend of mine. I just recently, it's been a few months ago, but I brought him up here to see the house, and he stayed with us for a weekend and stuff. But yeah, that was the biggest things. And then my mom finally, after 10 years of being married to him, divorced him. It was the best and worst thing I've ever seen. Like, best thing for us, long term, but at the time. And my mom looks back at it now and tells us she wishes she would have done it sooner. Because she didn't even know all of the stuff that he had done to us. Like, recently, I had just told her he had forced me to eat dog feces. Yeah. Yeah, that was on, it was spinach that was on it, and he forced me to eat it. That's why I don't eat spinach to this day.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So, and I just recently had told her that, so, she regrets not leaving him sooner, but at the same time,
hindsight is 2020,
Yeah, and seeing how she was after they got divorced was heart-wrenching, because you could tell she loved him for at least, I don't know my time frames, but I wouldn't have been surprised if you said it was 6 months to a year. She was holed up in her room just crying every night, because she just missed him. She didn't miss what he did to us, but she missed the good parts, because he was a great dad at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I had a stepdad that there were times that he was good. he was a good stepdad. He, you know, he at least acted like he cared, but you know, a lot of the like in retrospect, all the bad kind of outweighs the good. You know, the way that he treated my sister, the way that he basically just fucking ignored me. He concentrated way too much on my sister, and uh, I mean, I've heard things from my sister, nothing that I'll go into here. That's her story to tell, not mine. There was one of my favorite stories about my ex stepdad. It was literally the day that he left. Okay, so in for context here, my stepdad couldn't read, couldn't write. Okay,
He was illiterate?
yeah, and he was lazy about it too. He didn't even fucking try. So there was and he was very like he had this very old school mentality of girls dressed a certain way.
Oh, man.
He made it seem like, you know, girls couldn't do this, couldn't do that, blah blah blah. Well, one day, like, I get a call on the house phone. I was I think I was 19. I was still living with my mom and him. And she calls the house while she's at work. She's like, "Hey, can your sister hang out with you if you're not doing anything today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything. I was off. I wasn't working at that time. It was my day off." And I was like, "Yeah, she can hang out with me." So we're in my room. We're watching a movie. And he just doesn't knock, just fucking opens the door. Like, I understand that it was, you know, he's the adult, but like at that point, I'm 19, I'm an adult. It's my mom's house, not his.
Right.
And he goes, "What's she doing in here?" And I was like, "Hanging out, we're watching a movie." Well, in my day, like, girls weren't allowed in the boys' room. And I was like, "This is not 1950s, Jim." I was like, "If she wants to be in my fucking room, she's my sister. She can hang out in my fucking room." Now, he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's probably a good solid. Like, he was very muscular. He was about a solid, like, 200 pounds. And at that time, I'm like 5'9", 5'10", maybe 100, 100 pounds. And I'm talking so much smack to this guy.
Yeah.
He gets mad, I'm assuming, because he had this look on his face, turns around, walks out, heads out the door. I don't think too much anything about it. That fucker didn't come back for like 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I remember my mom coming home in the morning. She's like, "Where's Jim?" And I was like, "He left sometime last night." I told her what had happened. And I was like, "I don't know, he fucking left.
Yeah.
He's not back yet?"
It sounds like
She's
my
like-
dad.
She's like, "No." And I was like, "Huh. All right, well, what's for breakfast, Mom?" I didn't fucking know what to say. There was another time that like I love like these stories about my ex stepdad make me feel so much joy because like it's those rare moments whenever you know your stepdad's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And the days that you can get one over on him and he can't fucking do or say anything. You know those days, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a senior in high school, right? And I'm at the kitchen table and I'm doing like homework, and he's just harping on my sister about something. And I was like, I finally started paying attention because I had like headphones on and I was listening to like something, I don't know what it was.
The old
And
CD.
yeah, old CD players. Because honestly, whenever he talked, I just like put my headphones on, and he was very obsessed with Elvis. So like anything that I could do
Oh,
to
man.
where it was the opposite of that fucking music, I would listen. Like he was really big into like George Jones, which I like George Jones, but
Yeah.
like I could not fucking stand listening to it whenever he was, because it was either George Jones or Elvis playing, you know, like whenever like mom wasn't home.
Yeah.
So like I would put on like rap music, really into like Tupac and stuff like that. He hated it, right?
Of course.
Because I'm pretty sure he was a racist. So victory here. So
Misogynist,
yes,
really.
oh yeah, and he's harping about something to my sister, and I was like, hey Jim, can you help me with my homework? He wasn't sure what I was fucking working on anyway. I mean, he was a history buff. He loved watching like documentaries and like old westerns and stuff like that. So he's really knowledgeable of the old west. So he was assuming that I was going to be talking about like history, in some sort. But no, I was doing English.
Oh
I was like, "Hey
god.
Jim, what's this word? I can't figure out what this word is." And he just looked at the paper and then looked at me, shut the fuck up, and walked out. I had a history of making that man walk out. I should have known that that was going to be that to me. And maybe it's just my ego talking, but I will lay claim that the reason why my mom and him got divorced is because of me, and it's the only time a child should be proud of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get you. Like, but and my mom she was a little upset for a little while, but like I think at a certain time, as I pull this back around, I think she understood what the fuck he was doing to like her kids, and so like I feel like your mom, I can understand why she would be upset.
It's 10 years, dude.
That's 10 years. Yeah,
I've never.
That's a long decade.
Yeah, I've only been with my wife for 5 years, so I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. So like I understand like why your mom would be upset, but I did think there had to been that time whenever she was like, okay.
Yeah, the more after they divorced, we finally felt confident as far as opening up and telling our mom stuff because anytime we tried to tell her stuff, he would just, scream at us, tell us that we're lying or whatever, just to make himself look better. And so when we finally started doing all this, I think really that's what helped her get over it. And I hate that because, I'm a big mom's boy.
Mm-hmm.
Always have been. Never been too shy to say that. And
never be ashamed to say that if you got a great mom, you should always be proud of that.
Exactly. And she, so what was I saying? I got a little sidetracked. It helped her get over it. And, me being the mama's boy that I am, opening up to her, it really helped her snap out of it and just get over it. And she was like, okay, so I'm glad I did this. Which, much not to her benefit. I mean, she's still great, best mom I could ever ask for. She did everything in her power she could to raise us while taking care of us and working to provide for us and cooking us dinner and all of that stuff, which the dinner, please, I've got to get to that at some point, but I'll finish my childhood. She did what she could, and the mix between figuring out all this craziness that she felt so much guilt for, putting us through these things, and her own internal stuff I'm sure she went through getting over the divorce, kind of led to her pumping the brakes as far as discipline goes. So we just kind of, I don't want to use the word rebelled, but we most definitely went buck wild. Buck wild. Started smoking weed and drinking regularly at about 14. 14 was also the first time I was introduced to meth into my life, by my lovely father. Yeah, he went to a coma for 8 or 9 months, almost died, lost over 100 pounds, was skin and bones when he got out. He was doing good for a little while, and then I went down to see him, and I guess he just so happened to go cook some up to get him perked back up or whatever, and it's like, hey son, I want you to know what good stuff is, and I don't want you to do this with anybody else. But here you go. Here's some crystal meth. Crush it up on that Call of Duty Black Ops case and snort it. So, you know,
That's great father-son bonding right there.
I really thought so at the time. Well, you know, guy who's still looking for that father's love, you know, I thought that's what fathers did. I mean, I'd rather that than get beat for, getting a D on my history. I don't know. At the time, it was lesser of two evils, but it really formed a habit that led into my adulthood that really kicked off at about 17. We moved we waited until my brother Kenny graduated in 2012. He was graduated in 2012, and we moved to Cameron. And I was intending on going to school, but I had 10 credits going into my senior year. So, needless to say, I wasn't doing it. I went to that alternative school. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I went there, and I was 40 points from graduating. I took the test like 5 or 6 times. And I finally was like, you know what? Forget it. At that time, I was really getting into crystal meth heavy and started working at Burger King. Wonderful place. And yeah, that was more or less my childhood. And like I said, sadly, the really young years, I can't. I remember the big place of safety and comfort that I had was my grandparents, my nana and my doll. Now, for everyone else, my nana was from Mexican. Like, she came over the border into Texas with her 11 siblings, her mother and father, and they lived in a 1-bedroom shack until, I don't know, that's her famous story. We come over and we all me and my 11 siblings live, and and then she ended up meeting my grandfather, who is full-blood Irish. Like, if you were to look on the ancestry, you can actually find when his parents immigrated over from Ireland during the potato famine in the 1800s. They met when she was 17. They got married, had their litter of children and whatnot. They were definitely my safety. My nana and doll, I did everything with them. She is like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3-course meals, chorizo, and almost everything. Beans, eggs, refried beans. Just makes some of the best tamales you'll ever ask for. Enchiladas. My mom would literally drive from here to Arkansas, where they live, to get and pick up like 3 of the big Tupperware containers full of the enchiladas. And we'd have at least 1.5 of the Tupperware gone before we ever made it back home. It was so awesome. And I remember going out and just working on the farm, feeding the chickens, tending to the garden, and going out, getting donuts early in the morning with my doll. He was the reason why I kept the Asbury last name. And I have to tell you the story of this. When I was born, I heard the story from my mother. She loves telling it. So my doll, his name is Richard as well. It's why I named my son Richard, so that way we can start a family lineage. And most stoic man you'll ever meet. He is just, just does his own thing. But my mom said that you knew when he was mad because the iris would come out on this one bald spot on the top of his head, and it would turn bright red. And she said that she's only had that face that directed at her one time, and that was all she ever needed. But and she's only seen it twice, and this was one of the times when I was born. She had just had me, she's recovering, and I guess their landlord had showed up to the hospital to try and kick my mom and my father out of the house while she's recovering from having me. And my grandpa, he looked at her, he looked at the landlord, and he said, I don't know who you are. I don't care. This woman just had a baby. You can see that. She's in a hospital gown. In a hospital. Holding her child. You're going to go out of here. You're going to give her a week to figure it out. And they'll get out whenever they want to. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Oh, shoot. But yeah, he was such a great man. And when he passed, when I was, it was 2007, December, I always mix the dates up. It's December 16th or 17th of 2007. I was 12. I'll never forget, my mom told me she was going to take me down to go be there for the funeral. But my nana, she said, no, I want you to remember him how he was, not what he ended up. He got stage 4 lung cancer, and I've got a picture at my house. I'll have to show it to you sometime. That was the last really good picture he had. You could tell he was wearing a bandana to cover up that he'd lost his hair from the chemo and the radiation. His whole goal was just to make it one more summer with me and then go with his family by his side. And that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was really hard on me. Because shortly thereafter is really whenever I want to say my mom divorced him. I think I'm getting the time frame wrong. I really think I am. So don't quote me on that. But
I'm not. They are.
Yeah. Well, don't. But it's somewhere around there. Really, after he passed, it was a big blur because I remember my oldest brother, he graduated, I think, 08, 09, somewhere around there. So, like, I kind of remember in that area, and then shortly thereafter, they got divorced. So, that was the bigger events, and when he passed, I cried on my mom for, 4 or 5 hours, probably. He was my person. I loved him more than my mom. And she knew it. Everyone knew it. I was his little buddy. And, but once he passed, it was just a big blur for a while. And, especially dealing with all the other stuff. But yeah, that was most of my childhood. Of course, we could go into my high school, but there wasn't much to it. After they divorced, played football. I was a JV all-star, For those who don't know, junior varsity, I'd never actually really seen very much varsity time. I was supposed to, but I ended up tearing my meniscus my junior into my sophomore year, and missed out on the track season due to the surgery. And then my junior year, I missed a good portion of it. I wasn't 100%. And my coach was like, I want you to save it till your senior year. Plus, I needed to get my grades up. And then my senior year, we moved up here to Cameron, so it just never happened. So,
All right. So you mentioned the beginning of the drug thing. So you want to tell us about your journey through that kind of darkness and
oh, buddy, yeah, that was fun. Not, I mean, at the time it was.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. So like I said, my father introduced it to me when I was 14. I remember doing it again with him when I was about 16 or 17. I had came down. This is funny because this can loop into me now. So I went down. I think I was about 17. I got my license, had my first car, and I wanted to come see him. I didn't get to see him very often. He didn't have a car. He was still maybe $1.25, and he's 20 years older than me, so he'd have been 37, $1.25. Of course, he's always short. That's why I'm not tall. He was like,
yeah, that's why you're not.
Yeah. Between him and my mom was 5'3" ish. He's 5'5" with like 2-inch lifts in his shoes, so I'm actually tall compared to them. And so I went down there, and I had met my wife. It was my cousin's 16th birthday party? 15th? It was at Silver Dollar City in Branson.
Okay.
And we had met there. We spent the whole day together just riding rides. And then I went down there when I was 17. And I was, 17-year-old kid. I had about 2 things on my mind. So...
Clearly funnel cakes and
popcorn.
Yes.
Yep.
Funnel cakes and popcorn. Clearly, that is what we're talking about. We don't do that dirty talk here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I know.
Very clean fucking show.
That's why it says mature audiences only. Oh shoot. So yeah, we went down there and I did that, and I met up with her, we hung out. And then periodically we talked throughout the years, but then I came back and really I got the taste of it that second time with him. I had done it a couple of other times, but really I got the taste when I was with him. And I remember it was just like, that's what I wanted. Really, it was more or less just to forget all the past trauma and repress all of that even further because I didn't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my coping mechanism. I had so many different things that was constantly going through my mind that I didn't want to deal with. So I suppressed it with any and everything I could get my hands on. My drug of choice was meth, but I had done heroin, ecstasy, Molly, acid, of course, weed, pills, Xanax, everything. And really, it had gotten to a point where I would just work, get enough money to go and pick up, have that to last until I, rinse and repeat cycle. And I was dealing with a lot of stuff internal. And I wasn't ready to face it. I was in the mind. I got to a point where I was so down and so beaten up from the drug use. Not only the past trauma, as well as, the stuff I was doing to myself, the shenanigans I was doing to get high, and while I was living that lifestyle, that it really just put my self-worth as low as it could go. And I always said that there's only 2 ways I was ever going to stop getting high, and that was dead or in jail. Thankfully, the second one happened. So, but I would, at the end of it, I was picking up not big amounts. I was not a big dope dealer, but I was definitely getting a larger amount than most people were around this area, because I was gonna flood the market of Cameron, Missouri with meth. And well, you know how Cameron is.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't as prominent before I was in there. I was there, but it wasn't as prominent. My brother and I really helped with that one. So we but yeah, I would get some, sell some, and then get high on the rest of my own supply. And then I ended up at one point, I was living in Moberly, Missouri at this time. Do you know where Moberly is?
Yeah.
Okay. Those you guys don't know, it's over kind of by Columbia, Missouri, which is where the University of Missouri is. It's a decent sized town. It's bigger than most towns around here, unless you go to St. Joe or the city. And my brother was living in the city at the time, and he just so happened to come by. And I was introduced the needle at that time. And I mention this because it really hurt my self-worth, or what I thought of myself at that time, even worse, because my brother and I said we were only going to try it. I put it on my doll's grave that I wouldn't do it ever again. And then, well, that's what I stuck with after that, was only IV. I didn't like anything else. It didn't get me high. So, and I just got really down to a dark place. Had a lot of toxic relationships as well. One where this girlfriend of mine, she would pick fights to have makeup.
Makeup sex, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Makeup sex, yes. And that's actually a noteworthy little thing. I won't say her name. But when I was about 16 years old, I was definitely smoking weed, drinking pills, whatever I could get my hands on, but I hadn't really went off the deep end per se at that point. She and I were to get together. I was basically the side piece. She had a boyfriend that was 8 to 10 years older than her. She was like 14 or not 14. She was 15 or 16. And he was 23, 25-ish, somewhere around there. The usual ages that people get together.
Clearly.
So I was like her cover up, because she didn't want to tell her dad that they were together. And it ended up turning into very real feelings between her and I. I was a lot more emotionally available. I was physically available. And she ended up getting pregnant. And she swore that it wasn't my kid. I was ready to take on being a dad, and probably would have saved me some trouble later.
Anyway.
Uh,
Sorry about that. Yeah, so
I don't know where it stopped, so...
you were ready to step up to be a dad.
Okay. So, yeah, I was ready to step up and be a dad, but she swore it wasn't my kid. I was like, I don't care. This other dude, I had never even met him, and when I was with her, the only time that I knew of, she had seen him maybe twice, 3 times. But the conception date was like between 2 days, and I was with her one day, and then he was with her the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so I was thoroughly convinced it was mine. I was like, there ain't no way, it's not mine. And even if it isn't, I want to be the father of your child. Mind you, I'm 16. I'm not making smartest decisions. She got about, I mean, even her dad was telling me, when he found out, he was telling me he wished I was the father because he was just worthless. But I don't know what ended up happening with that situation, but she, I got tired of it, you know. She would talk about him and all this stuff, and I'd get jealous, and I was like, why don't you need to figure it out. Is it me or is it him? You know, because someone's got to be here for the baby daddy. You can't have, you know. She said, well, since you made me choose, I choose him. So that really messed me up. And that was my first love. You know, the first love was always the hardest one.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and if anyone's curious, my wife knows all about all this. I wouldn't say any of this or say all this stuff without her being aware. We're very open with our past.
Well, before we go any further with the rest of the story, that is actually very important.
Yes.
If you are hiding your past, then with your significant other, you're too afraid to talk about it with them, because you're afraid they'll get upset, or they're going to be upset about you, with the idea that, oh my God, before we ever met, you dated other people.
Yeah, right.
I've had that relationship. It is not. It's like, I love you and you are my world, but before you, there was another version of me out there and did some shit.
Yeah.
Dated some people.
Yeah. Well, I can't say too much. I'll be honest. I've told my wife this. I don't like the idea that she's been with other people before me, but obviously we're grown adults here. Like, she's got 2 kids before me, so.
What are you talking about, Arjun? This kid has immaculate conceptions.
Yeah, no joke. But yeah, they're yeah, she ended up so we ended up breaking up, broke me all down, beat me up, and really helped push the drug use, the alcohol, and it really helped. I created this like mental distance, this emotional distance between me and people. I didn't want to get so close to people because, that pain. Everyone knows that pain. Everyone's been through that pain. And it really messed up a lot of potential relationships that could have been very, very fruitful. There you go. And so sorry. I know. I kept it on in case my wife needed something important, so I'll turn it off now. So then, let's see. Then I was living in Cameron still, and I had met this girl. She was really cool. Like, we were FWBs, friends with benefits. And emotions started happening, and I think it scared me. And just so happened, when I start getting scared, the first love comes back into my life and wants to try things over again. And mind you, at this point, the kid's 2-3 years old-ish. And so I do. I drop everything I'm doing. I move over by Moberly, Missouri, to be with her. That was just a crapshoot. I really shouldn't have. And the thing that sucks most, if anybody ever has thought about getting with somebody who has kids prior, you need to really think about it, because for your own benefit, because I got so attached to that kid, because I still at the time also didn't know if he was mine. I can't say he looked like me. He had blonde hair and pasty white, but his mom was like that. So, but anyway, I've got this in the back of my head, and, I'm sneaking pills whenever I can from her, but I'm also doing pills with her. And then she, like I said, she's picking fights to have makeup sex. And then one day, and this is how it ended, and she ended up coming home. She was a waitress. I worked at Domino's. I was a delivery driver at the time. And she came home. She's like, "Hey, I made $100 today." I said, "Oh, shoot. Mind you, this is, 2013, 2014. So $100 was going a lot further." So we're like, "Shoot, yeah, let's go out to eat, let's fill up the gas tanks and let's do all these things." I said, "Well, how'd you make the $100?" She said, "Oh, my ex wanted to have sex, so he paid me for it." What? What? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Paid her, or her ex paid her to have sex with him. So that's what she did. And then somehow I was the bad guy for not understanding.
I don't understand how you couldn't understand that, RJ. I mean, you told me the story before, and I'm to this day, I still don't think you grasp the knowledge that, that is perfectly acceptable.
Yes.
Everybody knows that that is the perfect way to make $100 by having sex with your ex for $100 exactly. I mean, has she not seen Pretty Woman? She could have probably got more.
Yeah. Honestly, she probably could have, because apparently he was just that desperate to have sex. That's why he paid her.
See, rookie mistake.
But yeah, so after that happened, naturally, in monogamous relationships, things kind of.
Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be a divide after that, because there's really no recovery after that.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the kid, his name was Dylan. He's such a sweet kid too. He really was. He liked when I would I had subs in the back of my car, and I didn't tell his mom this for a long time because I knew how she'd act. But we lived on this really long curvy road out in the middle of the woods, and I'd put him in the back seat, make sure he's good and strapped in, have the strap up top behind the belt, and I would turn my subs up just enough to where it'd rumble his car seat, and then I would kick my ass into the car down the dirt road, and he just loved it. He just these boom booms nice. It's like, yeah, you like those boom booms, don't you? He's like, I love boom booms. And so it was that, and then we split, and then I ended up moving in with a friend of mine who I went to high school with. He actually moved in with my mom, and him and his girlfriend, and they've called her mom since they moved in. I moved in with them for a little while. And I did good. That was my most sober time in my adult life. I for about a year roughly, and it might be closer to 8 months. I would drink on occasion. Every once in a while, I might get an oxy or something, but I would never really get messed up because I was working my way up at Domino's to be a manager. Plus, my car crapped out, so it's either become a manager or don't make money. So, I was doing good for a while, and we got this bigger house where I got this like whole extension of the house to myself, and they had the main part of the house, and then I had this like, I don't know, it was like a garage area. I don't know how to describe it. It was huge and it was mine, so I was cool with that. I had to share it with the kids play as a playroom, but that was where I kind of got the freedom, and it just off the hinges. I started hooking up with people to do meth and stay out all night, but since, I didn't wake the kids up, I could sneak into the house. They would never know. And then, I moved in I got up my own place with a really good friend of mine. And I'll just want to say this, anybody that's never done drugs it's so common now that most people have, but it ruins relationships that you never wanted to. And good friend of mine, we got a place together, and I ended up choosing drug money, or using our rent money as for drugs, and we lost the house, and I've still never been able to patch up that relationship, and that really hurts. He was a really good friend of mine. That's when I did the IV, figured that part out. And I ended up walking from Moberly, Missouri. I hitchhiked a little bit. No, I hitchhiked from Marceline to Chillicothe, which you know where Marceline is. But I walked from Moberly, Missouri to Marceline, Missouri, which it took me a whole day to walk that far. And then I hitchhiked back to my mom's in they were in Lathrop at that point. And I moved back in with them, and it didn't get any better. I might have sobered up for a couple of months. Just long enough to get the parents off my case, And my mom knew something was up, because when I was living in in Moberly, I told her. I was open and honest with her, like I had always been. And of course, she didn't like it.
Oh yeah.
But I was also coming down really hard on meth, so I had like 30 Xanax that I took in about 2 days to like help with the come down. Did not help with the come down.
I don't. I'm not much of I'm not a drug person, but I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah,
Math's not really math in there.
The meth was really methin' though. Oh gosh, and I remember too. It was after I had done my first shot of meth. I had been I lost a whole week. I don't even know what happened during that week after I did that shot. I just know at least a week passed. And I lost my job because I slept for 36 hours straight, peed all over myself in the bed. Yeah, it was bad. And you would think that would be a wake-up call, but again, I was self-loathing so bad that I didn't care how bad it got. I just didn't want to live anymore. And throughout that time, I had attempted,
Suicide.
Yeah, a couple of different times by, I took a whole bottle of ibuprofen, chased it with a Four Loko. Thought the Four Loko would do the trick. Apparently it did not. Just tore my stomach up really bad. Tried taking a bunch of pain meds and then taking a bath and then nodding out, my body said, wake up, you're gonna die. I was just high. It was just really, really bad self-loathing.
But on the bright side, and I've always said this as somebody that has failed at that shit myself, if you're going to be bad at something,
That's the thing to be bad at.
unaliving yourself is really a good thing to be bad at.
Yeah. Thank goodness. But so it got to a point where once I moved back from Moberly, I really got more into heroin too. And anybody that has ever been through heroin withdrawals, I do not recommend it. Oh my gosh.
I mean, well, we don't recommend it at all. But,
Yeah. I don't recommend heroin at all, no, but the withdrawals were so bad. That's one of the bottle of ibuprofen. I had done a whole bunch of heroin. You wouldn't. Okay. I had 2 ounces of heroin that my brother had, and then he got put in jail. So it was left with me for context of how much the 2 ounces of heroin is. 20. It usually goes about $20 a point. Like 0.1 of a gram is $20 worth of heroin. So if you were to do that all the way up, let's see, 10, it's 200 for a gram, 28 grams in an ounce, 56 times 200. You're looking about $1,000 worth of heroin. Oh wait, I'm missing a zero. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of heroin.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah, and I did it all within about a week. And I was coming off of it so bad, so I was like, you know what? I don't want to live anyway. Try to kill myself, and it didn't work. And but I was mixing the two, meth and heroin, which you call speedballing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the good friend that I ruined the relationship with, he kind of helped put this in my mind, and I wrote on it afterwards, was doing drugs so that way you don't live as long, so you can die quicker. So I kind of adopted that same mindset, because again, I didn't want to be alive. I didn't care. This life was meaningless. I'd get my little guilty pleasure from the drugs and move on. And so it got really bad. I was living in a car for a little bit and run around Kansas City, specifically Northeast End, St. John's, 10th White. A little bit. I didn't really get on Independence Avenue, but I am kind of around that area. Which, for those of you who's never been to Kansas City, Northeast is not the worst part of Kansas City, but it's definitely you can eat. It's not the best part. For instance, I showed my wife 10th and White, which is kind of the big area I'd like to hang around. I'd stay in abandoned buildings there with some of the other homeless people and whatnot, and just get high and whatnot. And I showed her, and it doesn't look too bad. A few boarded up houses or whatever. And thankfully, we went there when we did, because I was like, all right, I don't feel comfortable here. I know what this place is like. I'm trying to go. So we get back, and that next morning, I get on my news app for the Kansas City area, and there was a triple homicide on the corner of 10th and White that same night that me and my wife went there. So she's like, okay, now I see what you're talking about. But yeah, so that's where I run around. I was, hanging out there with someone I called my sugar mama. She was an older gal. She'd pay me in drugs, and I would just bodyguard her. I'm 5'7", $125, soaking wet. I ain't bodyguard nothing. But yeah. So then, finally, it came around where my mom was with another he wasn't physically, but he was mentally abusive towards my mom. And she learned from her mistakes. She got out of it pretty quick. And met the man whom she married now, which you've seen him.
Yeah.
Great guy. Love him to death. And so we moved in together in Cameron. Moved back. She needed help with the bills, so I moved in with her to help. And that was like the height of my distribution, where I was paying all of the bills single-handedly, me and my brother, just by selling. And then my actual paychecks went to my own personal use. That included car insurance, rent, electric, water, whole 9 yards. And then my brother and the mother of his daughter ended up getting arrested, caught their first felonies. And I had gotten in trouble a few months back for stealing. We got caught stealing a generator out by Chillicothe. You know, tweaker shit. Yeah, thought we could get away with it. And I was supposed to be on probation for it, and ended up skipping probation. They picked me up too. And that was like the start of my incarceration. Disclaimer, I don't think for a second that I have spent a significant amount of time incarcerated compared to a lot of other people. But I am forever grateful by me getting incarcerated. Because if not, it'd save my life. I had caught in a few weed charges throughout the year, possession charges, nothing I didn't really have to say a whole lot of time in jail. I got a minor in possession. I was like 19 years old, mouthing off to a cop while I'm drunk. Arrested me. But yeah, so they got caught. I got arrested. I went and did a 30-day stint for a probation violation. They had offered me more probation or 30 days in jail. So I was like, give me the jail. So I did the jail time. I get out. Oh no, I bonded out, didn't I? No. I got out on that 30-day, but I got served papers for a separate charge. At the same time that I got arrested for the stealing, there was some meth found in the car, and all of us got arrested on a possession, but nothing ever came of it. So we're like, whatever, move on. Well, while I was serving time in jail, I got served the charges for this other one in Clinton County. Mm-hmm. I was in Pattonsburg, and so I got transferred over to Plattsburgh, and I bonded out at that point. I was like, man, sucks. I was able to get out. And then I went. I was out for a couple months. Let's see, this is a real fuzzy time. I was heavy into IV drug use, so remembering everything was very tough for me. I do remember this part. When I got arrested before I went to Pattonsburg, I got arrested at Burger King at my job. And my boss, he's like, hey man, cops are here to get you. I said, bro, let me go out the back door. I'll be gone before you ever know it. And he's like, if I do that, then I get aiding and abetting. I'm like, man, fuck you. Let me go. He said, no, just stay here in the office and just go peacefully. I'm like, all right, whatever. Well, I had some drugs on me at work because I'd go to the bathroom, get high, and come back to work. I had half a gram of meth, a little one-hitter, and some needles. Well, I had 2 pairs of pants on because it was hot outside. So I had shorts and pants. So I put all my drugs and everything in my wallet I had my wallet on me, but all the drugs in my pants, and got arrested in my shorts. All they caught me with was my little one hitter. Got possession charge, whatever. And so go to Pattonsburg, do my time, get served papers, get out. I get out on bond supervision, which bond supervision's dumbest thing ever. It is literally just probation, but you're not on probation. You get no time served for doing probation. It's like a trial run, if you will, for probation. And so I did it. I was doing okay. I would get, I was like, at the time, I was like, all right, I'm going to clean my act up. I hadn't got high in 30 days. I was like, I've got a new leaf on me, you know? This can be all right. And I sit down and I get into my brother's car and I sit down. I just feel a crunch. Well, I still had that half gram or a gram in my wallet that was sitting at the jail the whole time that they didn't go through my wallet. So I had this meth on me and I go, oh, all right, here we go again. So, I would do my bond supervision. I'd get high for a few days, sleep it off, piss clean. Get high, sleep it off, piss clean. Did this every week, because it was a weekly visits. Till at some point I was like, you know what? I don't care. I dropped. I was supposed to pee. I knew I was dirty, but I came up with some excuse that I can't pee right now. And I just ended up just bailing. I think not exactly how it happened. I went. They said come back next week, and I just never showed back up. And then again, I feel a little better about myself, but I still hated myself. And then, doing all kinds of stupid stuff throughout that time, robbing people, all kinds of stuff doesn't help my self-esteem because my mama raised me right.
Mm-hmm.
I got a very good conscience on me. And it sucks doing all those things because I know it's wrong. But I feel like I've got no choice. Of course I did, but I didn't choose to do it. I chose what I wanted, not what I should do. And finally I was on the run for, 3 or 4 months. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. I get rid of all my drugs and I go turn myself in to the police department. And I go and spend 50 days and Plattsburgh and then Savannah. Because at the time, Savannah housed Clinton County inmates. And I talked to my buddy who I lived with, the same one that I drove down to Arkansas to see my wife at the time. Same buddy, still good friends to this day. He lives in Colorado. I hope to go out and see him in the next couple of years. He came and visited me. And he's like, hey man, what are you doing when you get out of here? I said, I don't know, streets. My mom said I can't go back to her house. She's done with all the drugs in and out, At some point, she had to quit enabling it.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, well, why don't you come live with me? I was like, well, what about your wife? He was married with 2 kids at the time. And I was like, you can't, I'm not going to just impose myself. He said, don't worry about that. Just, I'll be here. What day do you get out? I told him it was like January or December. It was cold. And he said, I'll be here to pick you up. Don't worry. Now I get out. He's there. Picks me up. Now, I was sober for 3 or 4 months. Again, still drinking, popping some pills, did some acid, but I wasn't IV using. So I was like, it's at least I'm not shooting meth.
It's sober adjacent.
Yeah. Overall, I wasn't sober, but in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not shooting meth, so I'm obviously
The
doing
justification.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the shit that got me fucking,
Exactly.
in the situation.
And I had no pending charges, so I was done with all of my stuff. The meth that was found for that charge that I did 50 days for, I just so happened to see the chick that was with me in the jail. She walked by at the right time that I was out in the day room, and she said, "Chico, what you in here for?" I said, "Girl, you know what I'm in here for." And she said, "Don't say nothing." I said, "Duh." She said, "No, for real. I got you." She took the charge. So all I had to do was a 50-day stay in jail. They dropped mine from a Class C felony down to a Class A misdemeanor. I did 50 days. I got out of jail. She went and did the DOC time. Ended up getting a hold of her afterwards, told her thank you and everything. She's cool as a fan. That was my sugar mama. The one that I was out there in the city with. So I got no charges. I'm just running around, hanging out with, getting a little taste of the family life. And that was when I really noticed that I wanted to. Seeing him with his then wife and 2 kids, they loved me to death. They're great kids. Shoot. Well, they're like 10 now, but at the time they were like 2 and 1. They're sweet kids. Call me Uncle RJ, and I got that taste of the family life, and it was really nice. But urges came up eventually. I started getting high on meth again, and cycle started over. They found this was the quickest fall I had. It was like so I started using maybe a month or 2 later. We lived in a small downstairs apartment. It was, the whole apartment might have been the size of your apartment. A little bit smaller, maybe. It was small. Nowhere to hide my meth. So, kids, not the kids, him and his wife found it. And were mad because obviously they have kids. They kicked me out. My buddy was so torn up over it. Oh, bless his soul. He said, "I don't want to have to do this, but I gotta think of my kids." It's like, dude, don't beat yourself up. Like, I'm the one that's the fuck up, not you. And so he kicked me out, and I was living on the streets. Maybe 2 or 3 months. I was working at Wendy's at the time, and I met this chick who was my second love, if you will. I didn't realize, because at the time, I had 3 different girls that I was talking to. I always called them my wife, my bitch, and my girl. Got that from Tech Nine. I don't know if you've ever heard that song.
Yeah.
And so my wife was like the main chick that I was trying to get with. My bitch was just my side chick. Or no, my girl was the side chick, and then my bitch was just kind of like my friends with benefits. Not that I think all women are bitches. Let me disclaim that right now. Okay, I love my wife very much, and I would never say anything to make her mad at me.
She's scary.
Very scary. She so this girl, she ended up the only way I could put it was fought her way to the top. Basically kicked the other girls out of my life so that way she could have me. Not realizing how crazy that was at the time, I just was like, "Oh, that's kind of hot."
Yeah.
Women fighting over me. Yeah, the misogyny kicks in. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm that awesome."
That ego gets.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And like at one point, I was in the hotel room with some other chick, and she found the motel I was in. I don't know how. Kicked in the door, or well, not kicked in. Got the key from the front desk and opens
The whole lot. Kicks it in.
Dude,
fucking goes the regular route.
In my eyes, she kicked in the door. Okay, I was high on Molly in there with some other girl, and the next thing I know, I hear the door bust open. I'm like, yeah. So, anyway, yeah, she really, she made me want to stop doing too much, but at the same time, she was wanting to do too much, so it was not a good chemistry. Plus, we're both on meth. That always helps.
Oh yeah.
She, yeah, she was trying to push me to sell more. I didn't really want to sell very much. I just wanted to get enough to get high and move on. At this point, that's definitely where I was at the lowest of lows, and I said, dead or in jail. It's the only thing that's going to stop me.
Okay. So, low point. That's the low point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, several of those were low points.
It was very much a roller coaster.
I feel like, everyone, has that roller coaster. further down.
Yeah, like, what was that old retro game? Dig.
Yeah. So, we mentioned your wife. So I want to bring this, because the way that this is done, this is you could come back and tell a lot more of these stories. So I want to get to the last part of this interview. I want to talk about the good part. Okay, so you've talked about the low part, and you talked about where you've been, where you were. Let's talk about where you are now. Getting with your wife, and becoming a father. So when you and Devin got together, hey, this is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go into that.
So, it was actually, my story was leading up to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I'll make it short though. I ended up selling to the wrong guy. He wore a wire on me. I got 2 Class A's, Class C, Class D felony. Class A in Missouri is the highest felony. I had 2 of those. Looking a lot of time. I ended up taking a plea where I only got sentenced to 7 years. I did 15 months on the inside. And when I got out, while I was in there, I did a lot of soul searching. I started, even in that crappy of a place, I figured out what I wanted in life. I found Jesus Christ, by a young man who, God bless that man's soul. He's doing 28 years for a second-degree murderer. Great guy. I hope I get to see his church one day. He
committed the murder?
Yes. Second degree.
Okay.
Unintentional murder.
Okay. All right. I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah.
But at no point are we condoning murder.
Oh, definitely not. No. That, long story short, he could have got off the charge. He said that he felt a conviction from the Lord to take charge for his for his actions. So he
took responsibility.
Yes. So
acceptance of it. Okay.
We'll
call him good guy adjacent.
Yes, good guy adjacent. He cleaned his life up as far as he was same situation, got on drugs, did some stupid stuff, and now he's paying for it. And he's okay with that. I still talk to him. And he helped me find the Lord, and he helped me realize that this life is so much more than just drugs and women and all this thing. So I had made the commitment to myself while I was in there that whenever I got out of prison, I'm going to find a woman. I'm going to marry that woman. and I'm going to start a family. That's what my plan was. And I stuck to that. Even after I got out, I was completely celibate. I didn't deal with any kind of nonsense. I was fighting my own demons as far as, I still had people trying to hit me up and give me drugs at the same time that I was like, no, I'm trying to do this right. And I go down to Arkansas and I get a hold of my now wife. And I asked her if I was about 45 minutes from where she lived, and asked her if she wanted to hang out. And she said, yeah. This is her exact words. She said, I said yes, because I didn't think you would actually do it. So I said, bet, yeah. I said, my aunt's getting married today. After the wedding, I'll see if I can use their vehicle, and I'll come see you. And her exact words was she was a raging alcoholic at the time, drinking like a half a gallon a night, she said. It's bad. And she said that after the wedding was done, I borrow the truck, I say I'm on my way, and her exact words was, the bottle was full when I said I was on my way. There was this much left in a half gallon by the time I had gotten there. So after that, we were talking, and we did long distance for a year because what worked great for me is I wanted to get to know her first. Mm-hmm. And then we moved in together and did that for a year. And we had been living together 4 months when we found out she was pregnant with Richard, which we had a miscarriage prior in our relationship. But we found out she was pregnant, so we were very cautious, didn't want to tell nobody. And, yep, then it was for real. And we had our son August 17th of 2022. He's actually going to be 3 in, what is today? The 9th?
Yeah.
8 days. 8 days. He will be 3 years old. And she had 2 kids previously, so it really helped me to
understand what it's like to be a dad.
Yes, and understand the sacrifices and the willpower that it takes to, not only raise a child, but raise someone else's child.
Yep.
And it's the most fulfilling and wonderful thing. And I've now found a fantastic church. It's actually this shirt I wore. It's from my church. That, of course, I know I don't seem it. I've cursed a lot. I'm working on building myself better to be more Christ-like. But I'm building that relationship not only with Jesus, but with my wife, my kids, and seeing how beautiful that relationship, all of it, is folding in together is the most euphoric thing you could ever imagine. Like, the biggest rip of heroin, biggest shot of meth that I've ever done pales in comparison to how wonderful it is. And you know my kids.
Oh, yeah.
For everyone to know, he is Uncle Shannon. He is...
I have been Uncle Shannon. Literally, I feel like since the second time that I've seen him.
Yes. My kids know no strangers. They literally... We had to get on... Our little girl, Emily, and I've told Shannon this, we had to get onto her for a long time. And I hate that we got onto her, but we try to teach some stranger danger, but she would literally walk up, hi, my name's Emmy, I'm 5 years old, I live in Green Forest, Arkansas. It's like, calm down. Like, I'm so glad I never told you your social security number or your address. But, yeah, they love Shannon so much. Every time we go in the store, they look for Uncle Shannon and the girl with the stickers.
Love the girl with the stick.
Oh, 110%. Yes, you are Uncle Shannon to them. And heck, when we were over there at your neighbor's house a little while ago, I told him, I said, you do know Uncle Shannon lives here too. And they're like, where? Where's Uncle Shannon? It's like, oh, he's around the corner a little bit. And this is before, actually, we had to, oh no, this would have been, they forgot because we had came over to your house by then for Halloween.
Yeah, for Halloween.
But they didn't realize that it was the same place when we, moved them in. They're like, let's go see Uncle Shannon. It's like, all right, hold on a second. I don't even know if he's home.
I literally was only home for like a few minutes, and like the only candy that I had, I stole from like I think my daughter's supply.
Oh gosh!
I was like, here you go.
Thanks, I
That
appreciate
was the
that.
only kids that I gave candy to that night.
Well, you better at least get a little bag of something again, because if we don't hit your house up, I'm pretty sure my kids will throw a tantrum.
That's okay. I'll just leave it. I go on the door, but like, keep my camera on him and be like, "Hey, get the fuck away from that." That's
Just get Kit Kats. Dad likes Kit Kats.
so you really come into your own as a dad because like whenever you get candy, you get the candy that you will eat.
Oh no, my kids know it. They know it's dad tax.
Yeah.
Dad gets his tax first, mom gets her tax, and then the kids get the rest. They are fully aware.
All right. So being a dad and being in a much better place in your life. Okay. And I'd be remiss if I at least didn't, with this being a mental health show, ask. Okay. So as we both know, there's always that, thing, the stigma with the guys. We don't talk, we don't, guys shouldn't cry, all this other stuff.
Oh yeah.
So considering where you've been and where you are now, how often do you cry?
Never.
Is that because of what you had to grow up being around?
Yes. And, I'm, there's only two people that really ever see me cry. It's my mom and my wife. And because I believe in a strong father figure for my kids, I don't ever want to see them cry. Them to see me cry. Not, and this is where the stigma is so bad. I try to tell, like Blake, for example, super emotional. You've seen him.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him it's okay for you to have feelings. And he's asked me, well, why don't you ever show your feelings? It's just not what I do.
Right.
And like hugs and kisses, I give him hugs. I don't do I'm not big on kisses. Physical contact sometimes is really hard for me. And my wife suffers from that as well. Because, again, physical contact I've had, it's not been very good physical contact for most of my life.
Either the next time you come on.
Yeah, right. I try to still instill that into my kids. Like, I want them to do better than me. Because for me to do that is still next to impossible. Unless I'm watching anime. I don't know why.
I get that because I'm not an emotional person. I think after years of like just trauma and fucking just like horrible things happening, and just like a complete mental break, that the weirdest things will always get me. I got super emotional one time watching like a spearmint gum commercial.
Oh gosh.
I don't know what the fuck happened there. Or did you ever watch the movie or the TV show Manifest?
I've seen it, but I
Okay,
haven't.
so like
I haven't. watched
YouTube had like the first, I don't know, it was like 10 minutes or something like that on the fucking show, right? I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, all right, blah, blah, blah. And then like close to the end, whenever they realized, like everyone else fucking aged like 5 years or whatever it was, there was that someone like mini reunion where like the mom had died or like the dad had died or somebody died. And I was
like a show I need to watch.
Yeah. I think it's on Netflix, but
Okay.
I was like, I'm watching it. All of a sudden, like, I'm in my car smoking a cigarette, and I'm just like watching YouTube on my phone. I'm watching, and all of a sudden,
just pours out.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? So I mean, every once in a while, I mean, and speaking of like not really crying and stuff like that, like I said, I don't really get emotional. Like my kids will make me emotional every once in a while whenever they say something or do something really fucking amazing or cute.
Mm-hmm.
But like to force myself to be, so like, hey, you're not a robot, you're not a sociopath, you can feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like those videos of like soldiers returning home and surprising their parents, something like that. Oh, every fucking time, fuck, I'm like teary eyed. I may have like. I'd be ugly crying. If I had fucking mascara or eyeliner on, it'd just be everywhere. Like, everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife was picking on me. I said, so she left last night, so it'd have been the night before last. I started rewatching my favorite anime. I've watched it too many times, but it's like my comfort,
Right.
It's called Fairy Tale. And there's this one opening they have, and Devin loves the song, opening song too, and she gets into it just as much as I do. She's not an anime person; she does not really like anime except for Fairy Tale. But there's a very end part of just the opening, right? The opening song, where the main character Lucy, she looks up at Natsu, and she like starts tearing, and he's just putting his head on her forehead, and just thinking about it, I'm like. So good.
Yeah, the last time that actually really happened to me was like I was watching the series finale of Supernatural. Whenever Dean was dying.
Spoilers.
You haven't seen it by now. Like these people, like in the whenever this show was just audio, these people know that I once went like two. I get like a whole season where I would end the fucking show with Supernatural quotes, right? So they know I'm a Supernatural fan, right? But I remember watching that fucking scene. I actually put it off for like a week and a half after it premiered. That I was like, I'm not fucking watching this. Not watching it. Not watching it. Not gonna watch it. I'm not ready. Yeah. You invest in shit. Like, like I got more emotional about Dean's death and that whole scene, how beautiful it was done.
God, so gorgeous.
Then, like, most of the breakups that I had. Like, and I'm talking like girls that I thought I loved, right? I was like, I love these girls. You're like, my second wife, whenever she left the second time, that's a whole other story on that. But
right.
I was more emotional about Dean's death than my wife leaving me. And I was like, because when she left, I was like, okay. All right, the first time, I mean, I was a mess, but then you're like, whenever somebody fucking hurts you once, and then you're dumb enough to let them come back, you at some point realize they're gonna do it again. So you prepare yourself, and I honestly think that's one of the reasons why it became so hard is because I've gotten so used to people leaving.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever fictional fucking characters leave,
I think I snotted, bro.
I get so fucking pissed and emotional, and I'm like, no.
That's fantastic.
I would rather I would rather go through like a horrible breakup again than watch one of my favorite fucking TV when my favorite professional wrestlers died. I get more emotional than breakups. I get
Hey, now Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero.
Ooh.
We don't. Oh man, I was a wreck for at least 6 months.
Yeah, Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I get being emotional. I mean, because being emotional, being a dad, it's one of those situations where you want to teach your kid the lost art of being a man.
Yeah.
Because in today's world, everyone likes to claim everything that a man does is toxic. Toxic
for sure.
masculinity.
Yeah.
I disagree. Being a man, being showing up whenever you give your word that you'll be there, showing up whenever no one expects you to be there, being tough. And I'm not talking just like physically tough. I mean, yes, that is important, but like just mentally tough, emotionally tough, spiritually tough.
Mm-hmm.
Being all that is very important to teach the young version, these younger versions of men.
Younger generations.
Yeah. So, but like that's all important. But at the end of the day, my daughter still scares the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, my wife and my daughter. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, but all right. So we're gonna wrap this up. So I'm sure you remember, or if you don't, what do you appreciate the most about your life right now?
My relationship with Christ. He's helped me to understand love that I never knew. That I never knew I could feel. I just recently learned this. Do you know what the Greek word agape is?
No.
It's the original text that they used in the Bible to describe God's love and Christ's love for his people. It's a supernatural type of love. It's a love that surpasses all love that is unexplainable on this world. Like it surpasses even that of a father loving his child or a mother loving their child.
You me loving tacos.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's even worse, even bigger than that. Because once I did that, it helped my marriage flourish. Again, we're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We still bicker, we still argue. My kids, I don't feel like most days I'm a good enough dad for them still.
Get that.
But at the same time, like you said, I want to raise men. And I want to raise a very strong woman. She's strong-willed, very tough, erratic. But I want to raise good human beings. Good. Not. I don't like that word. I don't like that. I want to raise loving human beings. Because you can be as good as you want, but at the end of the day, none of us are good, and all we can do is just love people, and that's the biggest thing I want to teach my kids is to love, because love surpasses all.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right, so from one, would you consider yourself a recovered addict?
Yeah, I'm fully recovered.
Okay, so as a recovered addict to someone that has addiction issues, it's that whole addictive personality. For me, it's like the way that I always described is that if I like something, it doesn't matter if it's drug, if it's alcohol, if it's sex, if it's fucking like comic books, or if something brings me joy, I'm addicted very easily. So, to our audience, if there is somebody out there that is listening to your story, what's the one thing that you would hope that they would grasp onto the most?
That's a good question. First and foremost, I don't want to make anybody think that I'm just like so great for doing that, because I'm not. Because I didn't do it. I didn't do it by myself. I did it through my church family and my relationship with Christ, because I'm not fully broken. I've still got an addiction. I still vape. So I don't have it complete. But the biggest thing is whether it's because you hate yourself, whether you just like the rush, whether it's that's what you grew up with. I've seen all three of those. There's different reasons people give. Just know that you are enough. You do matter. Because if no one else loves you, Jesus loves you. He died for you, died for all of us. Your circumstances, they don't matter. They really don't. Because it doesn't matter where you come from. You could come from the biggest house in the surrounding area, all kinds of money, or you could come from the ghetto. Don't matter. You can do what you want. Drugs don't have to run your life. You can run your life. And don't ever think that you're in it alone, because you're not. Whether you never know. I've seen and I've had some of the best conversations with random homeless people.
Oh yeah.
There was a guy that was a very good. He was a believer in Christ and a good dude. From what I could tell, I mean, he was in prison, so take with that what you will. But then the only reason he said he would go to prison was because that was the only time he got a roof over his head. He lived under a bridge, so he would commit a crime so he could go back to prison, so he'd at least get food and stuff like that. So, don't ever think you're not enough, and don't ever let other people tell you you have to do something or you have to be like this because you're from a certain place or you grew up with this. Like, you can break the cycle.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been RJ, and trust me, we will have him back because you have no idea how many more stories we have. And trust me on this. We might not be able to tell some of them.
Oh, no, I can't.
No. So, but anyway, thank you again for coming on.
Of course.
It's always been a pleasure being able to talk to you and actually learning more about you. So I actually enjoy not just like becoming a lot closer to you. The fact that like we've in a short amount of time we've become I like to think brothers.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you're not Uncle Shannon,
yeah, not
so
just
you
brothers
have to
in
be
Christ, but yeah. So, but yeah, it's learning from you and learning more about you just makes me respect and like honestly admire you a lot more than I did well before. Whenever I just met you, so congratulations on like literally everything that you've got now, and especially from where you've been. So
yeah,
thanks very much.
I want to say. I think the only reason that it was able to work is because I talk to you so much as it is, so I was able to open up and thank you for giving me an avenue. Gosh dang, just this guy, he'll talk you through some stuff, and he's really good dude.
Yeah, the way that I described it to our boss, our boss the other, I guess a couple hours ago, whenever I was dropping Justice off at work, was I was telling him that you were coming on the show and that you were nervous about, kind of just being, like standoffish and, like not sure what you were going to say. I was like, whenever it comes to the show, I basically can roofie anything out of anybody verbally. Verbally is what I meant by that, because it came out wrong, but I'm just being honest. That's exactly how I said it.
Look, you can't roofie me. My wife will find you.
Your wife already knows that you're gonna leave.
Yes. If we ever get divorced, we are marrying each other.
Tax reasons.
I'm
Just playing. Alright, anyway. See you guys later. Well, that's a wrap on my conversation with RJ. Now I'm gonna let you in on a behind the scenes scoop. RJ was nervous about opening up, and he told me that because it was me and because of our friendship, he felt comfortable. And I take that as the highest compliment, because it means my staring intently while sipping my tea phase actually works as intended. We covered a lot. He opened up about drug abuse, getting arrested, his childhood, and somehow him getting arrested turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to him. He also earned massive bonus points for going on the record on the internet, of all things, professing his love for his wife in front of all of you. So, if there's a Husband of the Year trophy, I think we just heard his acceptance speech. And man, it was so nice having an in-person guest again. There's just something about being able to look someone in the eye, share a laugh, make them forget they're being recorded, which is great for honesty, but also slightly terrifying when you realize what you just captured on audio. RJ also shared about a child with an ex. And just so we're clear here, to his knowledge, the child is not his. That's his disclaimer, not mine. I'm just putting it on here just in case the internet decides to go full Maury on us. The conversation about addiction is never easy, and as someone with an addictive personality, I know how hard it is to battle those demons. It's ugly, it's exhausting, but RJ came here and he put it all out there, and that's a brave thing to do on this planet, especially in front of microphones, people wearing headphones. I mean, I wasn't, but there are people out there that are wearing headphones. In your kitchen, and technically we are in my kitchen. RJ, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for your friendship. You've got plenty of more stories left in you, and I expect to hear them in future episodes. To anyone listening who's struggling with addiction, with mental health, with just making it through the day, I see you. There's help. There's hope. You are not broken. You are not a burden. You're definitely not alone. Call a friend. Call a hotline. Call that one cousin who texts you memes at 2 a.m. Just call someone. The world's better with you in it. And if you ever feel like you can't do it for yourself, do it for the people who would absolutely miss you, even if they're bad at saying it. All right, until next time, I'm Shannon Stanford, and this is In Your Head. And I'm signing off with the same advice I give myself daily. Drink water, get some sleep, and remember, no matter how bad today feels, tomorrow has a better shot, or has a shot at being better. And if it doesn't, well, there's snacks. Thanks again. God bless.